In 2024, drivers of this vehicle received the most DUI citations.
Oh, man.
This is going to blow your mind.
Dude, it's got to be the Pacifica.
All 4 of these cars are in the top 5.
What's going on, Buick? Come on.
They're all Buicks?
All brand new Buicks.
I don't understand.
So it's considering even old beat up cars that maybe you would mentally correlate with like drunk driving, but no, it's brand new Buicks.
And the Pacifica.
The Pacifica. So only family SUVs and minivans. Hello everyone, welcome to the Bose Bros podcast. I'm Mason.
I'm Jordan.
I'm Logan.
Today we are going to start off with our speed rounds. First up, I believe we have Logan speed rounds for us. The first one's cover cars.
Cover cars. These are cars that were the covers for a video game. I'll show you the car. You have to guess the game. First up.
Let's
Need for Speed most wanted.
Need for Speed. Okay. Starting off with a softball here. The game that Jordan made up. I wanted to make sure he understood the rules of it.
Okay.
So yeah, Need for Speed Most Wanted.
I Need for Speed Most Wanted. Okay.
Next up.
Viper GTS.
That year and that color?
Yes, that exact color, that exact year, 2013.
I know it from the Pennzoil commercial.
Is it a Forza Horizon game?
That is correct. Forza Horizon 1.
Oh, nice.
Okay, last one. Porsche Carrera GT and Ford GT.
This pairing, was it...
When you're ready for a hint, I'll give it to you because this one's a little bit tricky.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I'm ready for it.
You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, that is not a Porsche Carrera GT and a Ford GT. That is Supercar 1 and Muscle Car 2.
Oh, that itched a spot in my brain. This is Burnout 3.
That is correct. Burnout 3.
Oh, wow. I should have gotten that.
Honorable mention to
one's a
the
Viper
Skyline GTR.
That's upside down. Yeah.
You know what's funny about this, though? I was thinking about this. Okay. Doug DeMuro is 37, which means he was like 15 when this game came out. And he has both of these cars in his garage. And I think that there is like an underlying subconscious drive for him.
Yeah.
I think it's Doug
derived from this.
Could be.
You know what I mean?
Those were some formative years.
Yeah.
All right. I think you have cover cars as well, Jordan.
I do.
So you want to explain the rules again real quick?
Okay, cover cars. I show you the car. You tell me what it's on the cover of. This could be a movie or a game.
All right. First one.
Okay. What movie is this car in?
Ghostbusters?
Oh,
It is Ghostbusters.
Yeah. It looks radically different without the
Well, paint
Ghostbusters
job.
paint.
And everyone thinks it's a hearse. It's an ambulance.
Looks like a hearse.
Yeah, it does. But it's advertised as an ambulance. I learned that today. Yeah.
Yeah. Ghostbusters.
And there's the cover. Okay, next one. 1973 Ford Falcon GT XB. I will say the movie car does not look like that.
Is it Starsky and Hutch?
No. Keep in mind that the Ford Falcon XB is an Australian car.
yeah, it's an Australian car. Yeah, it's not an American car.
Is it Mad Max?
It is Mad Max.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
It is a Ford Falcon XB, GT XB in the movie. All right, next one. 1963 Volkswagen Beetle. Softball.
Herbie.
Yep. Herbie the Love Bug.
This is Jordan quizzing Logan on 20 questions. I don't
Okay.
know which one. Do you know which one it is? It's the first one on there.
Yeah.
Is it an American manufactured car?
No.
Is it sold in the American market?
Yes.
Is it an Asian manufacturer?
Yes.
Is it Japanese?
Yes.
Is it Honda?
No.
Is it Toyota?
Yes.
Is it a two-door?
No.
Is it a four-door?
Yes.
Does it have a bed?
Yes.
Is it a Toyota Hilux?
No.
Is it... Oh, yeah, those aren't sold in America, right? So, is it a Toyota Tundra?
Nope.
Toyota Tacoma?
Yes. It's Toyota Tacoma.
Wow. Pretty good.
Yeah, in 12. I'm surprised you went with the Hilux, but
Yeah.
I forgot that you said it was sold in America.
I do like a Hilux. They're pretty cool.
20 questions. You're quizzing me.
Yes. You get 20 questions to guess the car I'm thinking of. Go ahead.
Should I just guess one?
You know what? Do it.
Nissan Frontier.
No.
Okay.
That was so close.
Okay, so it wasn't close. Made, we'll say, started production after the year 2000.
Yes.
American market vehicle.
Yes.
Part of the big three.
No. Have your skills atrophied? It's been a while since you've had to do one of
Yeah.
these.
Japanese manufacturer.
Yeah.
Is it a Honda?
No.
Is it a Nissan?
No.
Is it a Subaru?
Yes.
Is it 4 doors?
No.
Is it 3 doors?
Yes.
3-door Subaru made after the year 2000?
3 doors, Jordan?
The rear door opens into the cabin.
Is it a BRZ?
It is a BRZ.
Hey.
Nicely done. Also in 12. The hatch counts as a door if it opens to the cabin of the car instead of the trunk.
Sure it does.
Okay.
Someone will correct you in the comments.
I'm sure. They'll be like, well, actually, it counts in this.
Technically.
What I've learned in 18 episodes is that the more confidently Jordan says something, the more he will be eviscerated in the comments, inevitably.
Yeah.
So keep it up.
Yeah.
Because it drives engagement.
Yeah. Hey, all of you, hate
That's
me
why we
more.
keep him around.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just here to be wrong, that's all. 20 questions. This one's for Logan. So, Logan, you have 20 questions to guess the car I'm thinking of. Ready, set, go.
Is it sold in America?
Yes.
Is it an American manufacturer?
Yes.
Is it a GM product?
No.
Is it a Ford product?
It is not.
Is it a Chrysler product?
Nope.
Is it an AMC product?
Nope.
Is it a Tesla product?
Nope.
Is it a Rivian product?
It is.
Is it a Rivian R2?
It is a Rivian R2.
Wow.
In 9.
Well, I was starting to run out of American manufacturers. I was about to be like, is it a Vector? Is it a Saleen?
That's a good looking little car.
Yeah. It looks exactly like an R1, just shrunk
Smaller.
by 20%.
It doesn't, you know what it looks like more than an R1? Is a Bronco Sport.
Oh, yes. Actually, I have something else that I need that looks exactly like a Bronco Sport that's coming up later. But yeah.
All right. Well, good job. All right.
All right, guess the car by the sound. Did either of you do any of these, or are these
Nope.
mine?
All you.
All right, so this first one's for Logan. So, Logan, we're going to go to the next one. You're going to play the sound, and then you're going to guess what car it is.
Okay, so I think because you guys are on my headphone and the PowerPoint is, it was like really quiet for me. Sounded like a Boxer 4-cylinder though, maybe. So I'm gonna go Subaru WRX STI.
Go ahead and go to the next slide.
It's probably way off.
Not as off as you've been before.
Yeah.
Oh,
But,
Civic Si. Hey,
Yeah.
I know that car.
yeah.
It's your car.
Yeah.
That one's
I figured
newer than mine.
I got Mason with that, but
Yeah.
yeah, that one. This is like a 2015. I forgot what yours was, like 20.
No, mine's a 2015. This one's like the next. This is a 10th gen, which started I
so
think
this
in
is like
2016.
17. Okay,
Yeah, 16 or 17.
But yeah,
Mine's like a 9.2. So there was like a first part of the 9th gen, like a 2013 and 14, I think. And then it had some problems, and so then they fixed it for the second part of the 9th gen. And that's the one that I have.
All right, so the next one is for Mason.
All right. I thought that was. Oh, that's the Hyundai.
The what?
Hyundai.
Hyundai what?
The little electric hatchback thing.
The Ioniq 5N.
Yes.
You got that exactly right.
Yeah. I didn't.
Not until it got all the way up to the top of the rev range.
It sounded convincing enough at a low volume,
Mhm.
but once it got loud at like the RPM range high up on that end, it sounds very synthetic.
Yeah, it sounds
Go to
like electric.
Well, also, that is the most accurate it could possibly sound, because what you guys just heard is the literal exact.
Same
Engine
thing,
note.
yeah. Because it's just
They're
coming out of
also
speakers
playing to
anyway.
a speaker in a room.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good point. This is actually recorded from the cabin, and it's actually they intentionally dull the sound like it's coming from the exhaust pipe. So there's no recording of this like in a Dodge Charger, as Logan was saying last week, is that's making noise outside the car. This doesn't, as far as I know. So there's no sound you can record from the exhaust. The only sound you hear is the muffled sound in the cabin. Anyway, so this next one is also Guess That Sound, and this is for both of you. It's a very unique engine, and I don't care what car you call it, as long as you know what the engine is. Okay. And if you want a hint, I can give you the hint.
Where was this recorded from? Inside or outside the car?
This was recorded from inside the car.
But it sounded open and airy. Like the windows were down or the top was down, maybe?
So if you want a hint, I can give you a hint.
Yeah, let's hear it.
This engine is referred to as the Wookiee.
Is it turbocharged?
No.
Naturally aspirated?
Tons of people turbocharge it, but the original is not.
Is it a 6-cylinder?
It is a 6-cylinder.
I was like,
It doesn't sound like a normal 6-cylinder.
is it a 2JZ?
This is out of a Golf GTI VR6.
Ooh.
So the VR6 says V6 on the front. The German shorthand for an inline six is an R6. I don't know what the German word is. I don't know German. But it's more of a V6, but it's a V6 with a 15-degree angle rather than the standard 60 or 90. And that means that the cylinders are so close together that they use one cylinder head on a V6. And the way the head flows, it makes this unique Wookiee sound. Like, I'm not going to try to do a Wookiee noise, but it does sound a bit like a Wookiee. And if you take off the exhaust, it sounds even more like a Wookiee. And tons of people love that engine because for the same size, as far as package in the car, they went from, in the early versions of the, like the Mark II Golf, it was like 90 horsepower that they were making, up to 210 by the time they put the VR6 in.
All right. Guess this car. I think, Logan.
The segment is Guess This Car. So you attempt to guess the make and model of the car from a zoomed in photo.
So this is either the hood or the roof. Right? So I'm going to say this is a Dodge
part of the car.
Challenger.
Dodge
I'm gonna say
Challenger.
Dodge Challenger, red eye, or
So you're thinking this is the hood, and
The hood.
these are hood
it
scoops.
could be, but these hood scoops look too tall. And also, I'm not seeing the window on the right side. I would probably see the
You'd see the windscreen.
windscreen. Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe it's not. Maybe this is the roof, and
I'm
we're
thinking
staring
it's
at a
the roof.
hypercar
Yep. That's
with
what I'm
two
thinking.
scoops. The only hypercar with two scoops I can think of is a Veyron or a Chiron.
Is that your final guess?
All right, that's going to be my answer. Is a Veyron Supersport. That's my guess.
And go to the next one.
Oh, the Diablo SV.
That's cool.
That is cool.
I'm gonna still have the pop-ups.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a cool car.
That's right. All right, next up.
Okay, let's see it. Is this that Lada? Is this KGB?
KGB. GPT.
Is this a Fiat?
If you want a hint, I can give you a hint.
Good.
This is a truck.
Oh, is this a Chevrolet?
I'm seeing 500 here, so maybe that's 1500.
Or a D500? Maybe it's a Dodge, a D500.
Go ahead, lock in your guesses, gentlemen.
I'm gonna say D500.
I don't even know if there was a D500. Go to the next
There's a
slide.
D100. Nissan Sunny
Sunny
truck.
Sunny truck. Best truck ever. They're so little. People are like all
That's
stoked
awesome.
about Slate. We already have it. We got this guy.
Yeah.
The manual transmission too.
You see those all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now these are cool. They're very cool. And the design language of them didn't change for like years and years. They're all over Okinawa. People love them.
Cool.
Next up,
What do we got? Oh, I'm gonna guess it's a Ford.
Ford Probe.
I'm gonna say
final guess.
Taurus.
Well, you're half right because the front half of this is essentially a Ford Taurus. This is a Ford Falcon XH.
Jeez.
What's cool about in Australia where they sold these, they made effectively like an SHO version of this Ute for multiple generations. Yeah, like a high displacement, high horsepower version. High.
What was that, like
But
95?
for the time. Oh no, it was like I think it was over like 300. It's pretty
Really?
substantial. Yeah.
Wow.
How
That would be quick.
Oh, it's a 4-liter dual overhead cam? Is that what I'm seeing?
I don't know. Don't
Yeah,
take anything
so-
I said as fact. I probably just lied about all that. So
Great, very informative. I like
Yeah.
it.
you're welcome.
You can at least be confident when you're wrong.
Yeah.
It's cool, right? That the Ford Falcon they sold. So what was interesting is like we had the Ford Falcon in the 60s, but the Ford Falcon in Australia was actually multiple kind of Fords throughout the years. Like we had the Ford Contour, we had the Ford Taurus, we had the Ford Fusion. A lot of these cars just all fell under basically the Ford Falcon in Australia, and then they had a Ute version of almost all of them.
Gotcha. So there was like the Falcon XH, the XB was the 2-door.
Well, maybe I don't know, or I just made that all up. You'll never know. Who cares?
Why do people watch this? Hey, we're here to talk about cars and also be completely wrong about everything. Enjoy.
Next up.
Guess that car.
Guess that
Is this
car.
for me or for Mason? I think it's got to be for Mason.
Jordan
Right?
is quizzing
Logan.
Logan. I already know what this
Okay.
is.
It's not a Honda Element or no, I don't know. Honda Passport maybe. It almost looks like a Dodge because it just has that like real cheap chrome kind of in the middle there, the license plate holder. I don't know. I'm going with some dog shit Chrysler product. Final answer.
Okay. Once again, this is still a Honda Pilot.
Oh, hey,
Just another part of it.
I was right. I did say Honda Pilot, didn't I?
No, you said
You said
Passport.
Passport.
Or Passport.
Passport. Oh,
All
Is this
right,
for me?
This is for Mason.
for me. Can I ask a question? Am I looking at the headlight?
Yeah, you're looking at that.
Okay. I don't know if you're going to be cheeky. Is this that really rounded Hyundai? You know what I'm talking about?
I do know what you're talking about. I'm waiting for a name.
I don't know the name.
isn't this the new Sonata?
Very close. Same size. This is the Hyundai Ioniq 6.
Yeah. Exactly what's like that. It's very rounded and just squished down.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the Ioniq 6N.
This is the N line, which means it has the stuff that make it look like an N.
It's gonna have a stick, but the stick that you shift is what's gonna shift you in different gears instead of paddles. Honestly, why not? The paddles don't do anything anyway. Why not just put in a gear like a 6-speed shifter thingy?
Yeah, people are always talking about gear shift feel. You can make that feel whatever you want it to.
Yeah, they can make it feel however you want. They could put it in the roof. You could shift on the ceiling.
Or I don't know if you've seen those toys where it's like a toy steering wheel that the kid, like passenger, has.
Mm-hmm.
Just give you that.
All right, this one is for either of you. I will say that you know this design cue.
The Hyundai is a Genesis.
It is a Genesis product.
G70.
It's the only one with those rims, though. So it could be the 70, 80, 90, or one of the SUVs, maybe.
G90.
It is a G90.
I think it's a G90. Yeah.
That is a handsome car, which we can talk more about later. I think.
Can't wait to buy one in 5 years for $18,500.
Half off. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can get a V8 Genesis G70 for 20, 25.
You can get the last gen 7 Series with a V12 for like 40 grand.
Yeah, then you can pay like BMW repair costs. Point taken, you can get a V12, and that is something.
That's cool.
It's kind of amazing. I'd rather have a V12 Century. Mason, what car is this?
Oh, I know
Or
what this
Logan.
is.
I think I know what it is.
All right.
I will not be able to remember the name.
It's the first ever RHEV
You mean E-Rev?
or EREV. That's right.
the Top Gear.
Falcon, whatever, something.
I saw this episode like maybe a month ago, and I won't be able to remember the name.
I had to look it up.
Jeff.
All right, go ahead. It is the Hammerhead Eagle Eye Thrust, or Jeff.
Yes.
That's right.
I think it's a TVR underneath the rolling chassis. But yeah, that's true. It's battery. It's run on electric motors, and it's got a diesel generator in the back where the stovepipe that comes off and fumigates the inside.
What is the best Top Gear special?
I like the Botswana special.
Is that the one where they try to find the source of the Nile?
I think they drive across, but they're the first ones.
Makati.
Maybe there's like huge, vast open area.
Makati, yeah. I really liked their last one because they actually managed to find
those cars.
Yeah.
That special.
I really liked the Vietnam one. I know it was motorcycles, but the very end in like that gorgeous, that's what introduced me to those. They look like these spire islands
In Vietnam.
in Vietnam and in Laos, off the coast of Laos. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me it's got to be the Africa special where they try to find the source of the Nile, and Richard Hammond drives the WRX.
I like the one where he drives Opel, the Opel Cadet. And he calls it Oliver. He won't break it.
Or it's the America special where they drive like a Challenger and a Corvette and stuff.
You know how many times I've seen that clip where he's like, "This is America. Everyone's very fat. Everyone's very stupid. Everyone's very rude. You got your Best Western. You got your Red Lobster."
and not a lie was told that day.
All right, let's go.
Guess that car. So this is actually a subscriber/follower special. So all 4 of these were requested by viewers that we don't know. One of them was named Big Mommy Milkers. So
nice.
Really?
Really?
Okay.
What is it, Jordan? You know? I know.
That is a Honda. No, is it a Honda Insight?
That is correct.
Yep. There you go. You got it. All right, next one. These are all submitted by viewers.
All right, let's see. Oh gosh, I don't know.
Wow, that is really doesn't look good.
It seems like some kind of prototype Jaguar. Or a Jaguar they use for racing. What is with those headlights?
I do not know.
Wait a minute. Something about this says Corvette.
Well, it does kind of look like a C3 Corvette a little bit, but it's not quite there.
It's Brazilian.
Oh gosh. Then I have no clue.
It's a Bianco S Series 2.
What?
This is something that doesn't get talked about enough. There's this whole period of time in Brazil, it might still be going on, but where they had like a ridiculous amount of domestically manufactured cars of like entire ranges.
70s, and the bulk of them were based on the Volkswagen Beetle chassis.
That's right. That's right.
Including this.
Is it really?
Yes. And it has the Beetle engine.
Gosh, it's got like 30 horsepower.
It's got actually a whopping 63 horsepower.
Ooh, it's one of the later ones.
And can do 0 to 60 in under 18 seconds.
Whoa. I mean, the looks write a much bigger check than that.
Things going on in their manufacturing where they had the ability to make cars, but they basically all had to be built off of the Beetle chassis and use the Beetle drivetrain.
That's what I'm saying. You know why they chose the Beetle? Because there was a lot of Germans hanging out around that part.
In South America.
Around the 1970s.
Thought about putting that one in cousin cars.
Oh, yeah.
There's no way we would guess it.
Not
Not in a million years.
Yeah.
Here's one.
Lexus IS.
Toyota Celica.
Is it a Silica?
Logan got it.
Nicely done.
98 Toyota Celica.
Nicely done,
You
Logan.
got that quick. All right. Last one.
I know this one. It was like it was one of those sort of like weird boutique supercars, similar to like the DeLorean, but then this one doesn't have like the same cult following. I can't remember the name though.
The Chisetta.
Don't.
CZ.
Logan's closer to it. It's actually, when you look at it, it's very close to a DeLorean.
Yeah.
The Bricklin SV1. It's kind of DeLorean Corvette.
Yes, I've seen pictures of this car. The duck bill in the front is crazy to me.
Yeah, the Bricklin SV1 is marketed as a safety car, safety vehicle. which is where SV comes from, safety vehicle one, because it has bumpers and integrated roll cage,
And gull-wing doors.
going doors.
So if you roll over, you can't get out.
Moving on.
The 10th commandment.
This is Logan's segment. I have no clue what this could be. So why don't you explain it to us, Logan?
The 10th commandment is thou shalt not covet thy neighbor. These are cars that are sold in other markets that we wish were sold here. So first one up, the Ford Falcon XR8. Falcon making another appearance. Now, like I said, the Falcon name was reused in Australia several times for different models. I'm pretty sure this is a Fusion. Here's the thing, though. This is their high-performance version that has the supercharged 5-liter Coyote engine from the Mustang, and it has 568 horsepower.
What?
Yep. Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy.
Is that nuts?
And it has the proportion of a Chevy SS, though, like the greenhouse. And like
It seems smaller and taller.
Smaller and way higher output. And it's like, this is like they sold this like 2016, maybe 2017. So the Hellcat was around. The SRT8, Charger, the Hellcat Charger. Why didn't they bring this to the United States? This makes no sense. But they sold it in Australia, 568 horsepower out of effectively a Ford Fusion.
And it was the same engine that we already had here, so that engine was already homologated for.
As far as I know, it's supercharged 5-liter, so I've got to assume it's the engine from the Mustang, from the GT500.
That seems like it would have been killer to have against.
Isn't that crazy? And it looks subtle.
It does. It's kind of the opposite of a Hellcat.
That's probably why. I mean, that's why the Chevy SS, I think, didn't do that well, as it was too subtle.
It looked way more like just a.
Yeah. I mean, it's got a little wing. Does that count?
It does look more aggressive than the SS, but nothing compared to like the Charger or a CT5.
Would you guys have this or a Hellcat? Like a first-gen Hellcat?
Well, how much does this weigh? Do we know?
I mean, it cannot be more than a Hellcat. It's smaller.
I mean, it's got probably under 4,000 pounds, so it's probably maybe 38, 39 on the high end, maybe, I guess. So it's probably 500 to 600 pounds lighter than a Charger. With sticky tires and a good traction control system, this would probably beat a Hellcat Red Eye.
Oh, yeah.
I just think it's a beast. I would have this. I would have this for sure.
I would have it because it would be really unique. But I'd want to know that the car could handle around a corner and not just pirouette into a hedge immediately.
You're right. Like, because that's what the Charger's known for, is handling in corners.
Can it handle better than a Hellcat? I don't know.
Can it handle better than a semi?
Yeah, I'm not saying that the Charger handles well. I'm just saying that if I were going to buy one of these, I would at least want to know that there was some steering feel, there's some engagement, which you don't get in a Charger.
But they made this for the Australian market, which just brings me to my point, which is like, since the 70s, the Australians have had a deviant psyop ongoing to become more American than Americans. They're more racist than we are. They're more sexist than we are. They have high displacement Ford Fusions. They have the car equivalent to a mullet, which is a ute.
Business in the back, party in the front.
They were letting them beat us on our home turf. Next thing I'll break my 10th commandment for.
Yeah.
Ford Everest.
It would essentially compete with the 4Runner. So it's a Ford Ranger, mid-size pickup truck SUV version. So I don't want to hear that we couldn't sell this in the United States because it's already built on the Ranger, which is sold in the U.S.
But it would have to have the same engine to be homologated for U.S. use. And depending on the parts locations and stuff, like, I mean, tariffs are bad now, but they were still a consideration before. Maybe that.
This has been out for a little while. But how good does this look? It's like a Durango, but it actually looks good. And then the rear taillight is kind of that bar shape, like a Durango as well.
I like the Durango.
I mean, I like both. I don't think this looks anything like a Durango.
The high hood relative to the greenhouse, it makes it feel like a Durango. But
Later, look at the back of it. You'll see what I mean. It looks similar.
I will say, though, if it has the same 10-speed transmission, it probably wouldn't leave the frame of this picture before it broke down.
All right, next one.
Next one.
Ford.
Oh, this says Ford. It's supposed to say Subaru.
Okay.
Um,
It's like wrong blue oval.
yeah, the Subaru WRX wagon is still alive in Japan. Actually, last time I was in Japan, I saw one of these parked. They sell an STI version, but STI is really just the trim. It's kind of like the Honda N line. So it's not like a true STI. That's still more or less dead, but it is a WRX wagon, which is pretty cool.
That is cool.
Yeah. It's called the Levorg.
Levorg.
In Japanese, like pronouncing Levorg is actually probably pretty difficult because it's full of letters that they don't have in Japanese. So, anyway, yeah, Subaru Levorg.
Cool. Well, thanks for that segment. That's interesting.
That's cool. I've got a new segment for us as well.
So between the three of us, there's 4 new segments.
I think so. This is common denominator. I'm going to start showing you cars one after the other until you figure out what the thing is that they all have in common.
That's pretty clever. Okay, that's cool.
That's good.
All right. First up, Subaru Baja.
Sex machines.
Yes, but that's not the answer we're looking for.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Hummer H2 SUT.
Okay. Tiny bed.
So far, yeah.
Bed pass through. I don't know. I'm sticking with sex machines for now.
What do you mean by bed pass through?
In the back of the cab, it folds down, and you can like store longer objects. It'll run from the back of the bed into the cabin of the vehicle.
You got it. It has a midgate.
Let's go, baby.
The H2 has a midgate?
The H2 has a midgate.
I didn't know the Subaru Baja had a midgate.
So does the Baja. And
No
so
way.
does, good job, in 2.
Wow.
Escalade EXT
I
has
knew
a
that one
midgate.
because it's an Avalanche, yeah.
The new Tello MT1 has a midgate.
I knew that had a midgate.
Envoy XUV has all kinds of things, including a midgate.
There's all sorts of about 28 different things going on with that one.
Avalanche. And then Chevy Silverado, which is the one that I think maybe coined the term midgate. I mean, at least made it a commonly used term. People are like, wow, that's so innovative. But
It's been around for a while.
yeah, like 10 vehicles that have.
It makes me want an Avalanche.
Spend all this time researching and adding all these vehicles.
You got it in 2.
Yeah.
Do you have
thanks
any
for
other
that.
ones?
No, that was it. Yeah,
There's
midgate.
also you missed one. It was a concept, but the Ram Rev had a mid-gate and a front gate, so you could put an item in the bed. It would go through the cab and into the frunk. If you just needed to transport something 16 feet long with the tailgate up.
Not
really, really cool.
all midgates are created equal. This one here on this Cadillac is massive.
Mhm.
Like it's the entire opening. The Subaru Baja, it's like this.
It's for a surfboard, essentially. It's what it's for.
Oh, for like being in Baja California.
Ah.
If you're doing Baja stuff, you need a Baja board. You know what I mean?
All right. Unscramble the name. I don't know whose this is, so we'll just go to the first one and see. I think I did Logan's first and then yours.
No, that's mine.
Tittabug.
Tittabug. Bugatti.
Okay,
Bugatti, yep.
nice. Very good, Bugatti. All right, next one.
Stellantis.
If you need a hint, I'll give you a hint.
What's the first letter?
I'll tell you that I owned one for a while.
Is this a make or a model?
It's a model.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. What's the first letter?
S.
Satellite.
Satellite.
Yep, you got it. All right, next one. Milwaukee.
This is another model.
Mm-hmm.
Amigo.
Amigo. Logan owns this one.
Nice. All right.
Solstice.
Solstice. Yep.
I'm not good at this.
I'm not a smart man.
Logan, do you know this one?
Rand Gashnell. Is this the Falcon, Hammerhead Falcon eye thrust?
No, believe it or not, it's a Grand National.
That's good.
All right,
You're
cues and
giving me
clues.
a hard time. I just swept Mason on that segment, so.
Yeah,
You really
good.
did.
I didn't get any of those.
No, you
I
got
satellite.
You got satellite just before he did.
You want to explain this?
I show a color, and then give progressively more detail if they can't get it. So we'll see if Mason can get it. This is for him.
So it's like a red orange.
You could say that.
It's almost like the orange is named after an engine, maybe.
Hemi orange.
It is semi-orange. What do you think that would be on?
It's
Does
a
that clear it up?
uh,
How about the next one?
Challenger. No?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess I missed getting that one in there. Some of my pictures failed to upload, and I had to re-upload, and I guess I missed that one. Well, enjoy the picture of the Challenger. It looks great.
I'll put it in there.
Okay.
We'll fix it in post. And by we, I mean Mason.
Yeah, thanks.
Hues and clues. You look at the color, you try to guess the car. Each slide gets progressively more detailed.
Light blue. And it's not the M2, because that's what I gave you last week.
Yep, and it's also not the same color, but it looks very similar.
Let's see. Is it a Fiesta ST?
No. You can move on to the next one.
These are getting worse somehow.
If you want to move on to the next one, you can.
I can kind of make out the body shape of it. It looks almost kind of like a muscle car shape. Is it a who's the guy? Not the guy who died, but the other guy.
Richard Petty.
Yeah, is it the Super B?
No, it's not Super B.
Or, well, whatever it is. With the big ass fin. The King from Cars. Is it that guy?
Richard Petty's 1971 Plymouth Road Runner. The difference between this one and the Super Bird is it has the wing and the front nose cone.
Well, there's also a slightly different body style. 71, they changed it a little bit.
Yeah, I was right.
Yep, so that one is Petty Blue.
That's cool.
New school versus old school.
I think you're the only one that did these.
Okay, so we're going to look at the first one and we're going to decide, does the older one look better? Does the newer one look better?
We're going just on looks.
Just on looks, but you can also say like which one you'd rather have.
Okay.
All right, so let's go to the first picture. 2010 Genesis Equus. I thought this car was so cool back in the day. 15 years ago. And then the modern version is a reused photo of a 2025 Genesis G90. I think that one looks way better.
I have no use case in my life for either of these vehicles.
Neither do I. I still think they're both awesome.
If I don't have to think about maintenance costs or anything like that, then I would take the G90.
What I like is both of these cars were not designed to be driven by the owner. They were designed to have a chauffeur.
Yeah, in Korea, maybe.
Yeah, but that's where they put their effort. Like all the controls for everything were all in the back seat.
Yeah, it's just like anybody, especially 15 years ago, nobody's cross-shopping an S-Class or a Maybach or something with a Hyundai Equus.
Right. Now, Genesis G90 might be more of a consideration, but then definitely not a Hyundai. Yeah. Which they would consider a Genesis Equus a Hyundai. Anyway, we can move on.
The Tesco Roadster.
Oh my gosh.
Never heard of the Tesco Roadster.
Yep.
Tesco.
Between that and the concept that is coming out in 2020, right?
Yep, coming soon, 2020.
That was announced in 2017 to come out 3 years later.
I think this looks fantastic.
It looks amazing.
However, it's been so long. I think they're moving toward a new design language. They have the Cybertruck with the light bar, and they have the Model Y Juniper, which has the light bar. I wouldn't be surprised if by the time this actually comes out, it has more of a light bar, blockier front end.
Do you know how much it cost to reserve one of these?
Wasn't it like 15 grand?
It was $250,000.
Just to reserve it? I thought it was $50,000 to reserve it.
It might have been $50,000 to reserve it, but like there was something about like how you had to buy it. I don't remember the exact rules.
I know Marquez Brownlee is getting 2.
The funny thing, the reason I know this is because I listened to the Waveform podcast with MKBHD, and he put down the 250 grand, and you can tell every time this thing comes up, he's like irked because he's like, man, if I just put it in Tesla stock, probably have a few mil by now.
Yeah, and he got so many people using his. If you use like his recommendation code or whatever it is, it used to be you get 2% off the price of a Tesla. Well, he had so many people do it that he got a free Tesla.
Yeah, there was something with that.
And then there was something about how he was going to end up with a second Tesla Roadster, basically.
Yeah, new one looks better.
1967 GT500
Oh, yeah, the old one.
versus the 2021.
Yeah. I mean, new one's not bad, but
The old one, is this the Gone in 60 Seconds, the
Eleanor.
Eleanor?
Yeah, it's basically, yeah.
old one. Easy.
Yeah, I think I'd have to take the old one, even though I think I'd prefer to drive the new one. I would prefer to have the old one.
Old one with an automatic or new one with a manual?
New one with a manual.
I still take the old one.
I guess I could swap the manual into it.
All right. This is a new segment.
Recognize. Famous song by Smith and Wesson,
Is it?
hip hop duo out of New York City, 1990s. That's right.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Recognize. It's okay. My real OGs will understand.
Okay.
This isn't Smith and Wesson. It's Mobb Deep, but it's like we be the infamous. They heard of us official Queensbridge murderers. Like me, I'm an official Queensbridge murderer from Queen Creek, Arizona.
Okay, so the way this works is I show you a crashed or otherwise ruined car, and you try and tell me what the car was originally. I tried to leave just enough on these for you to tell what it was.
I don't know.
Fiesta?
No?
Focus?
It's Japanese.
Is it Subaru Impreza?
It is. Did you look at the next slide?
No, I'm just the goat, dude.
So no one's monitoring him. No one can tell if he's cheating.
Yeah.
I'm not. Trust me.
All right, next one.
No, this is a Jetta, not a Jetta GLI, but yeah, it's a Jetta.
R? Does it say R?
Jetta R.
It's
Yeah.
R line.
R line. Jetta R line. Okay.
I didn't find an R line for the other.
That wasn't wrecked.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. All right. What is
Oh,
that?
Jeez. Okay. Expert mode.
I actually recognized this one before.
Yeah, it's a
Is
Toyota
that
Prius.
It is not
Yeah.
a Prius.
Oh.
Not a Prius. Similar body shape, but not a Prius. I'll give you a hint. It had an electrical fire in the dashboard after having not been driven for 3 days or something. It was multiple days it sat there, and then the daughter looked out the window and just saw it on fire. Nobody had touched it.
Is it a Tesla?
No.
Fiat? Burn itself to the ground?
Nope, that is a 2016 Hyundai Elantra.
Oh.
The 1.8 they had in that generation was so bad that people would just stack them up on pallets because they couldn't even recycle them fast enough at dealerships.
It's a Scion TC, right?
Yep, Scion TC.
Approximate year? 07?
Yeah. I mean, they only made that for 2 generations, right?
I actually really like the second gen.
I liked it too.
I
A
would
lot of
love
people don't, but I like it.
I'd like the
I still see these everywhere.
yeah, because it's a Toyota.
Yeah.
They're all over the place. They're still actually kind of expensive.
All right. Blind ranking. Category is modern glow ups.
Okay, so they look better.
I think they do, but out of 1 to 5, how good was this glow up? This is for Jordan.
Okay.
Actually, this is for Logan. Let's hear it, Logan. Modern glow ups.
Hyundai Santa Fe. When this first was announced, I thought it looked great. The more I see them on the road, the less that I'm really in love with them, the more the kind of awkwardness of the design comes out, especially the rear end. But I would say this is still very good. Hyundai's been killing it. I wouldn't be surprised if all of these are Hyundais and Kias. So maybe this is 3.
I mean, let's be honest. That first one didn't look that bad.
That one?
Yeah, it looks okay. I mean, it's not like it's at least more interesting than most.
It looks
like,
typical
crossovers.
2015.
Yeah, and I really like the look of the running light there. The T.
Yep. I owned a second gen Santa Fe.
That looks terrible.
You hate it. There's more to look at than a lot of.
I mean, you
Plain
could say I
cars.
have a lot of physical deformities. Like, they're interesting.
There's a lot to look at there.
I mixed this up. The new one's on the left.
Oh, the Panamera. Okay. This is much better. I would say this is 2.
It looks a lot better. They finally leaned into the fact that it's a bigger car and stopped trying to make it like.
They did the same thing with the Cayenne. The Cayenne was supposed to look like just a taller 911, and it just looked weird. And so when they started making it look like just a Cayenne,
Yeah, exactly.
We also got used to seeing them.
So you said 2?
Next up. Oh my god, 1. The new GX. This thing looks awesome. This thing's so cool.
And you can get it without the hybrid.
I don't know. I know you can get it with a V6 and you can get it with a third row.
Third row, yeah.
I don't know if you can get the third row with the V6. That part I don't know. But these look awesome.
You can, because the only reason you can't get the third row is if you get the hybrid 4-cylinder, because you got to put the batteries where the third row goes.
But yeah, these look amazing. That previous Lexus design language with like the sort of like Black Widow hourglass grille is just horrible.
They still kept a little bit of that flavor on the new one, but it looks way better.
Yeah, but this is as good as that could possibly look without totally abandoning that design element.
I used to joke that they would crash a Lexus into a pole before it left the factory, so it would pull all the bodywork in.
Yeah, oh my god. This is so much better. This is 1. This is like the biggest delta.
All right. Toyota Camry.
Toyota Camry, this is 5. I was fine with the previous one. I'm fine with the new one. The only thing I don't like is that they've become really committed to this sort of like a boomerang U-shaped headlight thing, because that is now, well, it's now on the Prius, which looks good, but it's also going to be on the new RAV4.
And the new Prelude.
Mm-hmm. But that's a Honda.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But yeah, so I'd say 5.
So you said that's 5, so that means this is your number 4.
A Honda Passport. Oof, man, I would wish I could make that one number 2 and switch it with the Panamera. I really, really like the new Passport looking, and I like that they included the 3-notch design element into the hood. A little harken back to the old one from the 80s.
It did make me think of the old 4Runner that had the holes in the hood.
No.
Wait, was it a 4Runner?
Pathfinder. The
Oh.
old Nissan Pathfinder.
Pathfinder, yeah.
Yeah, Pathfinder, that's what it was. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it seems like boxy is definitely the direction all these new SUVs are going. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Blind ranking. This one is Logan quizzing Jordan.
For both of you guys.
Okay.
All right. Let's see it.
We're not going to be able to play this live on the pod, but you have to know these songs. And I think you guys both know all these songs. So these are driving songs. I also did this with Miyuki earlier. I'll tell you her rankings at the end.
Okay.
So first song, Do I Want to Know by the Arctic Monkeys.
It's on my cruising playlist when I drive the Cuda.
It's a little low speed for me. I'm going to call it a 4.
It is so funny you guys said that, because 2 of these songs, Miyuki, I played for her, and she was like, those are Mason's car. And then 3 of these songs, she said, those are Jordan's car. This was a Mason's car song. So what did you say, Mason?
I'm going to give this one a 2. It's up there.
2. Jordan?
4.
4. Okay. Next up, Kashmir by Led Zeppelin.
I like this a lot. Again, it's a little slow. For my driving playlist is much faster paced songs. I'm going to call this one a 3.
Mason?
I'm also going to give it a 3.
3. Okay.
Was that a Mason song or a Jordan song?
That was a Mason song.
I figured.
I give it a 3. There's other Led Zeppelin songs I like more than this one, that one I'm driving.
Yeah, that would rank higher for me. Welcome to Paradise. I'm gonna give that a 2.
I'll give it a 4. That's too fast paced for me.
Okay. Next up, The Joker and the Thief by Wolfmother.
This is a 1.
This is a 5. This is at the top of my Rocket League playlist.
I love listening to this song while driving my car.
I have to tell you guys, one thing I do, I don't know why I do this, but sometimes I like to take movie scenes and like see if other songs work over it. Can you still hear me? I like to see if other songs work over it. So I think that a better introductory song for the movie Baby Driver during the bank robbery scene, instead of Bell Bottoms, I think it should have been this. Or like this would have been another good option.
This would have been a great option. I do love that movie, and I think Bell Bottoms is a great.
And then last up.
You know what's funny about this is this next one has to be your 1 and my 5.
Yeah.
Yep. That is funny.
Yeah. All right. That's good.
That works for me
Works for me too.
because it's too slow for my.
I prefer the slower songs. I'm driving my car.
Yeah.
I don't drive my car fast.
My car, I don't drive my car fast either. It can't do that.
You and I are not the same. I drive slow because that's as fast as I can drive.
See, my car is going slow, but it feels really fast.
Okay, so you guys comfortable with your number ones?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Great one. That's perfect for the Miata.
I like that one.
Yeah, that was good. That was good, Logan.
Next up.
Next up is
So here's the first quiz question. Ralph Titor, the inventor of the cruise control, had what physical limitation?
Oh, I know this.
I know it too.
He was missing a hand, missing a leg, he was blind, or he was deaf. Which one is it?
He's blind.
Which I find hilarious. Because he can make his car go forward without seeing. I mean, he could do it with a gas pedal.
He's like, I gotta figure this shit out somehow.
How's he going to know?
Well, if anything, he might have a better perception of the speed change than the average person might.
True.
True.
Blindness gives you superpowers. Daredevil thing.
No, it's true. Well, that actually does bring up a good point, which is that human beings don't have just 5 senses. We have several senses, like sense of balance. There's also a sense where you know where your limbs are without having to look or feel them. That's how people get like phantom limb syndrome. Like you know where your hand is without actually having to look at it. And then your sense of like motion, like internal inertia, all that stuff. There are all these like different senses. A lot of them have to do with the inner ear, actually.
Awesome. All right, next question.
What vehicle has interchangeable turn signals with the Murcielago?
Oh, probably a Chrysler product, right?
So Dodge Intrepid, Chrysler Town & Country, VW Golf, or Ford Focus?
I think it's the Town and Country.
It shares a number of parts of the car, actually, not just turn signals. But it's the Ford Focus.
Oh.
And I have them. I had to zoom in on these cars, but you can see the orange turn signals there.
Mm-hmm.
Just tilted a bit.
They shared the same engine block, too, as well, I'm pretty sure.
I think so, yeah.
You know what's funny is if you source that exact same part with the same part number as the Ford one, but you source it through a Lamborghini website, then it's about $500. And if you source it through a Ford website, it's like $6 or something.
Yeah.
And they completely just clip into the exact same spot.
Okay. In 2024, drivers of this vehicle model received the most speeding
It's
tickets.
gotta be an Altima.
Ultima.
Gotta be an Altima.
You know what's really funny? When this question was posed, I saw it on Reddit. Someone said, "How is it not an Altima?"
How is it not? Well, okay.
So the options are Volkswagen Golf GTI, Hyundai Genesis Coupe, Chevy Cruze, and Subaru BRZ.
Maybe BRZ.
Well, the Genesis Coupe has been out. Wait, for what year?
2024.
Genesis Coupe has been out of production a while.
Nah, BRZ is not large enough volume. Maybe Chevy Cruze.
I think it's Chevy Cruze.
The Cruze is up there. Actually, 4 of these are in the top 5.
All 4 of them are in the top 5.
Mm-hmm. It was the BRZ.
Oh, it's really punching above its weight class because those are pretty low volume cars.
And this is proportionate. So this is per.
Oh, okay. Per how many sold?
The BRZ takes lead for having drivers with the most speeding tickets, with almost 24% receiving speeding violations in this car. So you see the Subaru BRZ on the road, a quarter of them have a speeding ticket in that car.
What is the relationship to vape pens? To
That's
speeding
the thing.
tickets?
That's 100%.
I thought about this and I was like, oh, speeding tickets. I'm thinking Corvette, maybe like Lamborghini, whatever. But it's a really cheap car that looks fast. Seems to be like the cross section.
Why? Yeah. My question is, why is 1 through 7 not all different generations of the Altima?
Although the Toyota GR86 is almost identical, it wasn't even in the top 10.
It just says a different badge, but it's the Subaru.
What is it about the Subaru
It's
that makes it?
Subi gang, man. It's the Subi gang.
When you put them next to each other, the Subaru is like $1,000 cheaper.
That could be part of it because the average base price of a car in the top 10 for speeding tickets was just $25,000, which is half the national average. So all of the drivers that get the most speeding tickets drive the cheapest cars. And at the very top of the list are the cheap cars that look fast. That seems to be the trend.
I'm starting to feel attacked with my $16,000 Civic Si.
Why? Do you have a speeding ticket?
Oh my god, dude, this was horrible. The last time I got a ticket, I was driving on base in San Diego. And on bases, you have 2 types of cops. You have the military police, who suck and are the worst. And then you have the regular police who are usually pretty chill. My registration expired that day. It was like we were rolling over to a new month, and you have like, I think in California, you have till the end of the month, or you did it this time. It expired that day, but you could renew online. And I was working night shift. So I'm driving on base. It's the middle of the night, Saturday, DUI checkpoint. So I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. I'm in my uniform. I'm clearly going to work. They check my registration. The cop goes, the civilian cop goes, you know your registration's expired. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. It expired yesterday. I'm aware. I haven't been thinking about that because we've been on 24/7 ops. But I can renew it right now on my phone. And the MP, the military police, who's like essentially like a rent-a-cop, they're not real police, goes, well, like, you're a non-commissioned officer, right? You're a sergeant. Shouldn't you know better? And I'm just like, you suck. Like, you're so lame. So I'm like, all right, bro, whatever. Like, the cop, the real cop, looks at the fake cop and says, what do you think, brother? You want to give this guy a ticket? And then the MP looks at me and he goes, I'd love to. And I was like, dude, fuck you. I hate you so much.
It's like a $200 ticket.
They had me pull off to the side. By the time they wrote me the ticket, I'd already renewed my registration on my phone, but they still gave it to me. Anyway, more of the story. Who joins the military just to get other people in the military in trouble? So lame. That's all. That's the last time I got a ticket.
All right. In 2024, drivers of this vehicle model received the least speeding tickets. What kind of cars do you think are on this list?
This would be a Lincoln Town Car.
Oh, you're thinking like a elderly person vehicle. Okay. We got Toyota Camry, Chevy Suburban, Tesla Model Y, and Ford F-150.
Camry.
Yeah, well, you know who's driving Ford F-150s? Cops. So I'm going to say F-150.
It was the Tesla Model Y.
Really?
Only 2%.
You know why?
Well, the Tesla Model Y buyers are looking for practicality, especially the Model Y. That's like the most center of the road. I just need something efficient to get me from point A to point B. The driver assistance features make the driver aware when they're speeding. There's people who knowingly speed and get pulled over, and they take that risk. But there's a number of people who accidentally speed, but that's not going to happen if your car's telling you you're speeding and you're someone who just, I didn't realize I was speeding. You're eliminating a whole cross-section of people.
And also, if you're using the driver assistance features, it won't let you go more than 5 over. If you set the cruise control, while you have like the auto steer on, the lane keep assist, if it's 45, it won't let you go over 50. Now you can go over 50 with the gas pedal or acceleration pedal.
With the battery pedal.
The torque request pedal. You can go over that if you use that, but then why the heck are you using any of the driver assistance features?
And pay the extra $10,000 for self-driving.
So that actually does make sense.
I wonder if this is the first time that the best-selling car was also the car with the least speeding tickets.
Oh, actually, that could be a factor because that works against the Subaru. Because if you're talking about not that many irresponsible people have to buy a Subaru when they're only selling 13,000 a year, when you're selling 200,000 a year.
In 2024, drivers of this vehicle received the most DUI citations.
Oh, man.
Hellcat.
Wasn't on the list.
Altima.
This is going to blow your mind.
Dude, it's got to be the Pacifica. It's
All
gotta be.
4 of these cars are in the top 5 again.
No.
Buick.
Okay, let's see.
What's going on?
Buick and
Buick.
this
What?
Buick
Oh,
Enclave.
it's old people.
Buick Enclave.
It's all old people.
Or Chrysler Pacifica.
They're all Buicks.
All brand new Buicks.
Because the Encore.
This isn't just what of the new cars get the most DUI. This is all cars. And 3 of 4, 3/4 of Buick's brand new cars have the most DUIs. And it's not close.
And the Pacifica.
And the Pacifica. So only family SUVs and minivans
That's the drunkards. It's going to be one of the Buick Envista.
I think it's the Pacifica. Because it's the same name as a beer. That's my logic.
Oh.
It was the Buick Envista.
I wonder if Buick's like setting up shops like next to like Payday Loan and like shady lawyer places.
I don't know.
Again, how is it not at all?
Yeah, drivers of the Buick Envista have the highest rates of DUIs with 72.1 citations per 1,000 drivers. And most, it's like in the single digits. So this is 72.1.
I don't understand.
A Chevy Astro from last time we recorded, Logan? That van was up there. So it's considering even old beat up cars that maybe you would mentally correlate with like drunk driving, but no, it's brand new Buicks.
Stay away.
I haven't looked into this to like see because like 1 would be surprising, 2 is like, well, that's odd, 3 is like there's clearly something happening.
I think the Astro van is actually more impressive because it's like when collecting this data, it's not like they're going to be able to collect which vehicles are actually still regularly in use and on the road. So the Astro van, there's probably a small percentage of those that were originally sold that are actually still in use. So for people to be driving enough of the remainders drunk to get themselves on the list out of all the Astro vans that were ever sold is pretty impressive.
I mean, point taken.
Mm-hmm. What was the most stolen car in 2024? Kia Optima, Hyundai Elantra, Honda Accord, or Chevy Silverado?
Both the Kia and the Hyundai.
In 24,
It's not a 24 model. It's got to be the Kia Optima.
Optima.
You're close. They used the Kia Optima to steal the Hyundai Elantra.
Because they had that security breach, right?
That's exactly what it is. Yep. You know what's surprising is they had that update, the software update, whatever. Less than 20% of vehicles have actually gotten it installed.
Really?
Yeah, as of the end of last year.
See, mine didn't even need it because I had the push button start.
Well, the other 80% are at chop shops or in Mexico.
Almost 32,000 of these were stolen last year.
Holy cow.
Yeah, Hyundai and Kia make up 3 of the 5 most stolen vehicles because of that security flaw.
What's the other one? The minivan?
These were all stolen. So Silverado, Accord. In millions of units, how many passenger cars did China produce in 2024?
3.1.
So 31.3 million. Dude, it's got to be the biggest number. Whatever the biggest number is, that's what it is.
That'd be a lot.
22.7.
Logan's right. 31 million cars made last year, which I did the math on this. That is exactly 1 vehicle per second, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. By comparison, the U.S. produced just 10 million.
Please tell me this is an AI photo.
No, it's a real photo. Those are all BYDs. That's just BYD's factory.
That's insane.
Yeah.
How many fabricated gain-of-function viruses come out of this country?
0. We're not allowed to talk about that. Okay.
All right, you're right.
Yeah, China is now building, and their rate is increasing. They're building as many vehicles as the U.S., Japan, and India combined.
You know, we should do something to make sure that they don't ship those vehicles over here.
This is an example question. Moving on. This is... Okay, I forgot to take these out. Shut up. All right, discussion segments. Let's move on to the news. There's been a lot of news.
Who's up first?
You, but I take it you're...
I guess it didn't show up again.
Okay.
So right here, just imagine there's a Kia K4. We'll go back. I want to say one thing about the Kia K4 that you can't see here. Just that there's already K4, but they're bringing a hatchback K4 to the U.S. market. So it's gonna be like a station wagon. So it does look great, and you know you can just
I'll put the picture.
Imagine that it looks even better than this. Okay, next one that's new. These are all new to the U.S. market for next year. This is the Jeep Recon. So this is
Thank God it has the recovery hooks.
right. This is looking exactly like a Bronco Sport. It's a Bronco Sport with a Jeep grill, especially when you look at the side of it.
The headlight and grille configuration actually look exactly like that new Honda Passport.
Mm-hmm.
I almost did a segment, but I couldn't figure out how to phrase it. But I was going to remove kind of the iconic Jeep iconography and stuff,
Yeah.
Same thing with the Honda, and put them side by side and see if you can tell which
Yeah,
one's
they're
which.
so similar.
Yeah.
But what's cool about this is that it has a power folding top and removable doors.
I see the hinges on the outside.
Yeah. So removable doors and power folding top are like the cool parts about this. But we can move on to the next one. EV3 is coming to the U.S. market for next year. And that one is unique because it is supposed to start in the low 30s with 380 miles of range.
Do you really need more than like 300?
300-ish is fine. Most cars get like my truck will get like 280 on a tank.
My car doesn't even get 200.
Your car doesn't even get 20. Yeah, my Miata will do like 360 on a tank, and that's with like less than 9 gallons.
Yeah, I get 32 miles per gallon and 11 gallons. So whatever that is, about 340.
This is I meant to grab a different picture. This is the clearly my old pictures are somehow the ones you got, but this is the GV90 concept. It doesn't look that different, but it definitely looks not like a concept, the real version. But that one is coming into the market, trying to target the luxury level of a Bentley Bentayga.
That expensive? Or that level of quality?
They want that level of quality. They want a comparable experience. Also, more than 500 electric horsepower. Also, more than 300 miles of range is what they're targeting. But
Wow.
they would need a massive battery for a 7-seater SUV to make that far. But the thing that they can advertise that they have the fastest charging speed of any electric cars. Kia Hyundai, 350 kilowatts.
Does that use an ACS?
It will.
Wow, that only puts them 8 years behind Chinese EV manufacturers.
And then the new Honda Prelude. Upsides on this one is it starts in the low 30s, like 31, 32.
Dude, I want one of these so
That's very
bad.
cool.
The reason they can make it that cheap is because it's basically a Honda Civic Hybrid, which is also a downside because that means it's going to be heavier than it otherwise would be.
What does it come with a manual?
I don't think so, because it comes with the same option as the Civic Hybrid, which is an automatic. They might fit a manual in a dedicated sports car.
You can't ask for too much.
Nissan Z did it. The new Civics still have a manual, so I don't understand why they couldn't do a manual here if it's based on the new Civic.
But that's basically what it is underneath. They haven't said whether or not it's on the Civic platform, but it has the same Civic powertrain, so it should be. But it looks phenomenal.
It looks great. Has the same styling cue as the new Toyotas.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're going to make a Acura version of this, kind of like a RSX revival.
So the only thing I missed here is that Genesis GV90 is going to be 7-seater, and you can option all the way over to $120,000, which is approximately a third to maybe a quarter of a Bentayga.
Mm-hmm.
But that's basically who they're punching at is a Bentayga. But there's nothing else there. The only other thing is like a Rivian.
Grand Wagoneer.
But no, I'm talking about EV.
Oh yeah.
For EV, 7-seater.
The Bentayga's
and
not an EV,
hyper-luxury.
right?
No, Bentayga's not an EV. But there's nothing else up there in that market. That's admittedly a very small sliver. EV 7-seater hyper luxury.
Isn't there like a Wagoneer EV?
There is a Wagoneer S, which is like smaller than the
That's not come out
Grand
yet.
Cherokee. Yeah, and that's also not a hyper luxury.
No. All right.
But it still costs 120 grand.
Yeah.
Probably will. All right. Let's talk about mini trucks. We got some exciting mini truck news. We've talked on this podcast before how there's really no good options for small, affordable, practical, utilitarian trucks. There's such a big gap in the market that people have to import them if they want something like that. Cars and trucks especially have reached all-time high prices and weights. A new car exactly 50 years ago was $4,800. Today it's 10 times as much exactly. It's $48,000. And the cost of the average household income has not increased by tenfold in that amount of time. So trucks are getting more expensive. Price is also inflated by increasing vehicle size. There's just more raw materials you need. So, pulled this graph from, let's see, this is from the EPA, their metrics, and then NBC News put this figure together. But yeah, essentially it shows over that same time frame, 1975 to now, how truck weights have inflated dramatically, especially the imports. Like, look how light those foreign vehicles were in 1975, and now they're right up there with the rest of the big three. But people feel safer in bigger cars, so now we're in this nuclear arms race where I feel safer in a big car, but then everyone starts making bigger cars, and now my big car isn't a big car. A big car 20 years ago was a small car now, right? Mm-hmm. So there's just this vicious cycle of needing bigger and bigger cars. All the while, pedestrian casualties are skyrocketing. There's a growing demand for small, simple, practical vehicles. And this is showcased by the fact that the Ford Maverick sales have increased almost 90% over the last year. And K-Truck imports have quadrupled or tripled in the last 5 years.
Despite all of the potential worries about them being banned, yeah.
Yeah, K-Truck critics cite safety concerns. We talked about this extensively. It doesn't make any sense as soon as you introduce motorcycles into the conversation. Mm-hmm. So it's not like a K-Truck is going to harm anyone in an F-150.
Right.
You're assuming that risk yourself if you're driving it.
I mean, if anything, the rider on the motorcycle becomes a projectile.
Yeah. So if you want an affordable, practical truck, really your only option right now is to import it. And you gotta wait till it's 25 years old to do that. But what if America started making their own? So that's kind of where we're at. This is the Tello MT1. So this company was founded by 3 entrepreneurs in 2022. And their first vehicle is going to be this truck right here. That's the only configuration. It's got 4 doors and a 5-foot bed. It will be the smallest domestic pickup truck. The single motor, 2-wheel drive, has 300 horsepower, a 4.5 second 0 to 60, 2,000 pound payload, and will start at $42,000 before federal incentives.
So 35.
The dual motor has 4-wheel drive, 500 horsepower, 3.5 seconds 0 to 60, only a 1,700 pound payload, and will start at 46 before incentives. The standard battery.
0 to 60 on the 4-wheel drive? 3.5.
3.5.
Mm-hmm. Jeez.
The standard battery has 260 miles of range. You can option a long range that.
What are the crash tests like?
They say it's 5-star crash test safety rated. Yeah. One of the big things about it, and I'll talk about this in a second, is the packaging. Is you're moved forward, right? Because you don't need an engine up in the front. You have a frunk up there, but really the frunk is more to make it look like a car. You don't actually need it there, especially if you're in something like a truck where you could actually use that space on the back and just move the cab forward, right?
Yeah.
The dual motor long range still comes in at less than $50,000.
So what the Cybertruck was advertised at?
Yeah. And they actually partnered with Aptera to configure it with solar panels on top.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Aptera is another American brand that we haven't talked about, but I'm really interested to see how they're going to do it.
They're aiming to enter production late this year, which seems optimistic. The startup EV market is incredibly stable. So
I put Tello in the category of this company has successfully made a website.
It is a nice website.
So I'll ask this on the next one.
It's a very nice website. We're very proud of them. It's very good.
Do you know this? You know what they call this little tunnel?
Yes. It's similar to the Rivian under the truck. It's got a little cargo tunnel, but it's under the bed.
So it's called the Monster Tunnel.
Mm-hmm. Because it's under the bed. It's clever. They have a few of these. It's not just a website. They have, like, I think Jay Leno's looked at them. Jerry Riggs.
I've seen a bunch of people with them, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They managed to make at least 4 cars.
Say what you will about Elon, but he said this best. He said anybody can make one of something. You can make one of anything you want. He said it's 1,000,000 times harder to make a lot of that something. So yeah, they can take one and parade it around. I mean, we had a Chrysler Copperhead too, and we had all sorts of stuff that they made one of, but yeah, like my thing with this truck is like it can't both look weird and be weird. It's really got to be one or the other. I think that the market is probably not ready for something like this if it's both weird and it looks weird. And it's like you think about Faraday Future, you think about what's the other one? Fisker. Yeah. How much long-term support are these going to have?
So Tello definitely prioritized space and efficiency above all else. The tailgate is super thin to give it as much room as possible in there. And they move the cab forward because you really don't need to have room for an engine up there. They're really taking full advantage of the fact that this is an electric vehicle, right? And so you have a lot of flexibility when it comes to the packaging, which ultimately means you can create something that has more interior volume than a Tacoma, in a longer bed than a Rivian, in a truck that has the same footprint as a Mini Cooper, two-door Mini Cooper.
Which is cool. That's all great. Mm-hmm. I'm still worried about crumple zones. It looks like a Volkswagen minibus.
Yeah, I mean, again, like, if this is, you're okay with that, at least have the option,
That's true.
Like, people still buy K-Trucks, and I guarantee you this thing is safer than a K-Truck.
Oh, I'm sure. So is a bicycle, probably.
Yeah. By default, it's got 4 doors and 5 seats. There is a optional bed shell with a 3rd row, so you actually fit up to 8 people in that.
Really?
Yeah, if you configure it with those options. So instead of like a bed, you've got a 3rd row back there with another 3 seats. So it's 3, 6, 8.
Is that your next minivan?
I mean, it's kind of cool.
But there's configurability.
Yeah, there's another player that emerged on the scene in the form of the Slate truck.
That's right. Here comes Jeff Bezos with the steel chair.
Yeah.
From the top rope.
My bias is going to show. I freaking love this thing. I think it looks so cool. So this company was also founded in 2022. Like Logan said, there's been investment from Jeff Bezos and from Rebuild Manufacturing. They're heavily invested in this platform. They're headquartered in Michigan with a design studio in California. They operated mostly in stealth mode, which means they have done no press events. They've been very coy about releasing any details, and they're not bringing any attention to themselves until they were 100% ready to deliver on what the vehicle will ultimately look like, what the pricing is going to be, the production plan, and all that. They kept all that under wraps until they were ready to give what they believe to be a realistic idea of what to expect from this car.
What some of the pricing will be.
Right. They already do have a substantial workforce. They have hundreds of employees. Their CEO is a VP from FCA. She's an electrical engineer. She's a really, really bright woman. Seems really animated about this project. They've got their production team. It has people from all over the big three. So they got people from Ford, from Chrysler, from Chevy, and people that know what a successful EV company is supposed to look like. Their first vehicle is going to be this Slate truck. It's meant to be an affordable 2-door, 2-seat, 2-wheel drive EV truck with a lot of customization. It's got a backup camera, air conditioning, and power locks. Anything beyond that either isn't available or is optional if you want to equip it with it, including the windows. There's no power window. It's entirely mechanical, right?
Unless you buy the option.
You can buy it. You can outfit it with an electric regulator if you want, right?
I would get the roll downs.
Coming from someone who uses roll down windows regularly in their car, it's not a big deal. I would never even consider.
I thought you were about to say absolutely get the electric windows.
No, it's not a big deal at all.
You ever replaced the electric window switch assembly and all of those components versus just the little frame that holds the window that just gets cranked up and down? I mean, it's a million times easier.
They're basically the same of all the times I've done it.
It's got no radio, no speakers, no power windows, and no screen. It's got a phone holder or an optional tablet holder. So, like what you were saying, Logan, as far as like support and everything goes, it's just your phone. There's no infotainment. You can't control every single thing about the car from a screen. There's an app that will give you like your car's charge and all of that information and stuff. But like most people, just use your phone for your navigation and your music and whatever. It's got a mount to put in a Bluetooth speaker, like a JBL. That's what it's made for. And
Or
play
you
music
can
on
option in the door speakers.
that. I think they're like
Or maybe they're on the
dash
bass color.
speakers. Yeah. So on the base, you can modify, as you can see here, as an SUV that has 3 more seats in the back.
My confusion is how do they get the, I guess, mid-gate on? How does that, if you're supposed to do that at home, and where do you put it? If you just get the parts delivered.
There isn't like a mid gate because there's no room to put anything through.
No, yeah, I mean like the back of the cab. What happens to the back of the cab when you put the cap on the bed?
Yeah, you just take that out, and the window panel comes out too. The window panel actually moves from there to the very back.
I did a little research on this. So that part doesn't come out. It stays in there, and all the rear passengers, they crawl in through the tailgate area, and then they crawl over the back seats, and they sit there. And then you're just separated by the wall and a pane of glass between the front seat and the back seat.
I feel like you're joking.
Yeah, I don't think that's accurate.
No, yeah, I'm making that up. That's for fake. That's not real.
The base truck has a tiny 52.7 kilowatt hour battery. You can option, it's got a 150 mile range, 8 seconds 0 to 60, $27,500 before incentives. You can option an 84.3 kilowatt hour battery, which is still pretty small. It has 240 miles of range, 0 to 60 is unknown, price is unknown.
84 kilowatt hours is pretty healthy though. Think about it. The Model S is 100, 110. My Model 3, Teacher's Model 3 has
I guess
65.
for trucks.
Yeah,
For trucks, there's nothing even close to that.
For trucks, but I'm talking about other things about this size.
Yeah.
Like a Model 3 is way bigger than this, but only has 65 kilowatt hours.
They're aiming to enter production end of 2026, which this already feels, maybe it's just really good PR, but this feels more real than the Tello. And their production timeline is a year further out.
Mhm.
That seems a little more realistic to me. The size and packaging is it's different than the Tello. It is more truck-like in appearance. It has a frunk instead of that cab-forward design. It's only got 2 doors. No matter how you configure it, it's only got 2 doors. It's narrower and has a shorter wheelbase than the Tello, which is good for city driving. The bed capacity is smaller than the Tello, and ultimately, the Tello is more efficiently packaged, right? The Tello is slightly bigger, but you get 4 doors, 5 seats by default, in the same size bed, right? But this looks more like a truck.
But think about, are you getting half the capability with this truck? I think you're getting more than half the capability of this truck, but it's half the price.
It's cheaper, for sure. The only factory options will be the battery sizes. You can order the extra stuff if you want from the factory to make it into an SUV and whatever, but it will get shipped to you, or you'll pick it up as a truck, and you can either pay them to install the stuff or you install it yourself. It's all flat packed, get it shipped to you. It's also not painted. There's no paint shop. There's no chips, dings, scratches, nothing. There are composite panels that come off with hex screws. And if you want to wrap it, you can. They sell pre-made wraps, but I'm sure if this thing is successful enough, other people will start making wrap kits. You can just take the panels off, wrap them, don't even have to be on the car. Take them back on the car. At the live event, they had a truck look just like this. They put it behind a curtain. You could still kind of see through the curtain. They weren't doing like a smoke and mirrors thing where they rolled in a different truck. It was the same truck, and within an hour and a half, they converted it from this base truck to a completely different looking SUV, including wrapping it.
Wow.
An hour and a half had it converted to an SUV. The body panels can be easily removed and replaced. The kits be for sale to either raise or lower the ride height, and they have first-party accessories that are all bolt-on. You can do it yourself, and they plan to release, when the truck comes out, have more than 100 accessories to go with it.
And isn't it true that they want to basically just break even on the truck and then make their money on the accessories?
More or less.
So you can assume the accessories aren't going to be cheap.
Yeah. The configurator's live. You can spec your own as a truck or SUV. I did. This is what I came up with.
Pretty cool.
This is the one I made. I think it looks so cool.
I will put it this way: if I were to make one that I thought would appeal to you, this is exactly what I would have.
That's what it would look like. Yeah. I just think it's this, and it's small. It doesn't look small in the picture, but it's pretty small. It's compact.
It's like it's smaller than the Tello in length too, right?
Yes, the wheelbase on this is shorter. I have a graph or a table coming up to show, but they're close. They're comparable. That's the interior. Very basic. Got a phone mount. You got AC controls. You got crank windows. I wouldn't change a thing. I might add the speakers, but that might be it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I like the idea, and I hope that it's really successful. I'm way more hopeful about that than the Tello. Like, I don't care about the Tello, mostly because of the price. There's so few cars that are attainable.
Mm-hmm.
Between my wife and I, we make good money.
But you're responsible enough with your money that you're not going to go blow close to $50,000
on a car,
on a single car,
on something that's going to lose value. What do you think about that, Logan?
I think you only live once. You should buy a 360 Ferrari. No, I'm big on trying to buy all your cars outright if you can. And if you can't, then you should at the very least try to buy a car at the bottom of its depreciation curve. So I mean, like, if I buy, like, I have a 2015 Civic Si. I bought that for $16,000. I could sell it for 12 in a couple of years, as long as I don't go too crazy with the mileage. Maybe a little less. But had I bought a 2024 Civic Si or something like that, I would, like, and the way I think about it, if I'm going to drive my Civic Si for, let's say, 4 years, I might lose $4,000 to $6,000 in depreciation. If I bought a new Civic Si this year, I probably would have already lost that amount in depreciation.
It's a catastrophically bad idea financially to buy a new car.
Well, someone has to.
I know. It's for there to be used cars. You have to buy new cars. But the thing is, it's like, what blows my mind is it's an industry run. The whole automotive industry is run on bad decisions.
That's why I'm excited for cheap cars to come out. I don't care if it's got power windows or doesn't have radio. Like, just give me something cheap.
Yeah.
Not even cheap, just affordable.
I have two things on this. One, you know how many people are actually going to get this car for $20,000? Exactly zero. Zero people will get this car for $20,000 because everybody's going to do little configurations. So Mason's configuration that he made probably costs just as much as the Tello. And that brings me to my second point. They didn't announce pricing for any of the add-ons.
Because what if that shell's $8,000?
Yeah, you can't say it's a tariff thing because they're making everything in America, and also they're trying to get rid of the EV incentive. So that $20,000 is really $27,500 as soon as that EV incentive goes away.
Give the slate a 0 to 10 on how likely it is to go to production. Will we actually see these on the road, and not just like a few of them were sold, but then the company went out of business? How likely is this going to succeed?
1 or 2 to bring a few out, make it last a couple years before, people lose interest. 3 or 4, yeah.
Yeah, I give it probably a 4 to get the Fisker, to get it as far as Fisker went. To get it as far as Tesla went, I give it like a 1.
I'm a little more optimistic. So I gave it a 5, which I know is very optimistic. I wouldn't say it'd ever be as successful as Tesla, but at least
I'm not
a
saying
viable company.
As successful as, I'm saying as stable. Like, you're not worried, like, maybe next week they'll be out of business. Like,
here's the other thing. I don't think that this is actually necessarily a smarter financial decision. Because did you know that over 60% of Americans can't afford a $500 emergency without financing it?
But they'll pay twice that in car payments every month.
Yep.
Yeah, but they'll pay that in car payments every single month. But here's the thing. You say, okay, part of the pitch for this is, okay, you buy the base one, and then you buy the other parts as they come out, or as you need them, so you don't have to put it all in one finance platform at once. But here's the thing. As soon as one of these little components, the stereos or the shell or whatever, is more than $200 to $300, people are going to start financing these. So now, instead of having one car with one line of credit with one fixed interest rate as a vehicle, so you're going to have like a relatively low interest rate, or comparatively speaking, you're going to have people that have that, and then 7 to 10 additional lines of credit. One $8,000 line of credit for the shell.
But a lot of people buy like PlayStations, and those are like $400 or $500.
You can finance on DoorDash. People are doing 3 payments to buy burritos from Chipotle. I'm 100% serious. You can finance on DoorDash. You guys don't understand. All of us have like a sort of a fear of debt, and we pay close attention to this sort of stuff. People today finance everything. Everything is financed now. It's insane. People are paying interest on almost every single thing that they buy.
Well, there's 3 reasons why I'm more optimistic. Maybe 4. The first one is there's high-profile people with a lot of capital who are invested in this. That was one of the main reasons that those other companies didn't succeed. They just don't have enough liquidity. They just don't have the money needed to cover the unexpected costs associated with starting a car company. Second, they
Which
have
is probably almost all of the costs are expected.
Yeah. Second is they have a lot of really experienced people who have seen what success looks like in the automotive industry, and they're excited about this project. You have the right people in there. Third is the simplicity of this truck. There's 2 SKUs, right? This is meant to be desirable by someone who is wanting to customize and DIY things on their vehicle, right? So let's say you have a dented panel or whatever. If those parts are readily accessible and you can buy it and ship it to your house and fix it yourself, you're going to. And it's not going to spend 6 weeks in a Tesla auto center, right? So you're not getting all those vehicles back. The simplicity of this is going to pay dividends at every single stage of production, to creating the tooling, to creating the warranty program, to creating every single step. The fact that it's so simple and there's only 2 SKUs, it's going to just pay dividends over and over and over again. The 4th reason is I already reserved one.
For how much?
$50.
Oh,
Yeah.
heck, I'll reserve one for $50.
Right?
Did you finance it, or did you pay?
I did
outright?
finance it. Yeah,
Finance
I got a good deal. 28% interest over the next 6 years.
28%. That's right. The debt gets purchased by a collections agency, and then they try to recoup the debt from you, or a portion of the debt. So people are having things go into collections.
So they're getting credit hits on a burrito?
The median earning is about $50,000 per year. Almost nowhere in the country can you buy all of your necessities and rent a 1-bedroom apartment on that salary. Almost nowhere.
That's true.
So what are they going to do?
Oh, don't finance a burrito.
Yeah.
At least get a quesarito for your 17% interest.
They are scheduled to be in production in 2026 and be less than $20K with incentives. I don't think I've ever seen an EV release on time that was at its advertised cost, to your point, Logan.
I mean, either one of those, yeah.
Either one, let alone both. I'm curious to see what the pricing and the accessories are going to be. And the licensing, I think, for creating parts for this could be another possible revenue stream. I think they're going to do so this is the Canoe Lifestyle truck that is very similar to that Tello, and they're gone as of this year. These are, just a quick look at the graveyard of EV startups.
Lincoln Electric? Is that what that one was?
Lordstown
That's
Motors.
what it is, Lordstown.
Fisker, Canoe, Aptera failed and then was purchased by someone else, and they kept the name. So I put asterisks there because it's not the current Aptera, but what it was previously. Very Future, Atlas, a lot of them. So looking at that, it's a little bit daunting, I think, if you're heavily invested in this company. But
With your $50.
with my $50, yeah. We'll see if I get that back. So here, side by side, I put the Tello, the Slate, the Maverick, the Tacoma, and that's the 4-door, 5-foot bed Tacoma, and then the Ford Lightning, which is the most popular electric truck currently out there. You can see the Tello and the Slate are similar in size, but the Slate's not as wide and has a
With the Tello is shorter in length
shorter in length
than the Slate?
by almost 2 feet,
That's crazy.
and it seats 5 and has the same size bed.
I wouldn't have guessed that.
But look at the cab, the seating position. The rear seat is more forward, is about as far forward as the front seat in the
Right,
Slate truck.
because of the
It's very, very efficiently packaged.
yeah. But I would bet more money on the business plan of the Slate.
Yeah. The problem with the Tello is they're really prioritizing the size and the efficiency of the packaging, which in the United States isn't really a problem. It's the cost. We're only buying small trucks or wanting to because they're cheaper, not because they're smaller, which I think is their key, like the point that they're missing.
Right. So they're making a truck that's just as expensive as an F-150, but you get less for your money because it's smaller.
It's more efficiently packaged,
Yeah, but
and it can't do as much.
Right. It's less capable. You go buy a $45,000 F-150, you're gonna have way more capability.
Well, you couldn't. The Ford Lightning starts at 63. So if you're wanting to go electric,
Just electric. Okay.
if you're wanting to go electric, you got to spend more. I did put the Maverick on there because it's like the smallest real option you can readily go buy right now. That pricing is actually really aggressive right now because they're doing their employee pricing for everyone. It's like $24,000. Normally they're up near like 27.
That's what I'm getting from this. The Ford Maverick is a smoking deal.
Yeah, you've really made a good pitch for the Maverick.
Yeah, I didn't mean to when I started this, but I'm like, actually, Maverick's a pretty freaking good deal.
The benefit of an established company and an established technology.
The bed is smaller, and again, it's not electric. So if for whatever reason that's your priority, obviously the Maverick's not going to be a consideration. But it is bigger and has a smaller bed than those two.
Yeah.
Yeah, the MT1 is a compelling product if that federal tax federal incentive does stick around, but it's still a lot of money to spend, in my opinion, on something that looks like a golf cart. And the cheapest config with the EV credit is still more expensive than a base Tacoma. And looks still matter. And Ford showed this with the Maverick, because technically the Maverick isn't as capable
As the Santa,
as the Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
But the Santa Cruz doesn't look like a truck.
No.
So you're restricted to people who want a Santa Cruz just because they like the look of the Santa Cruz. People buy a Ford Maverick because they want a truck, even though technically the Cruz is more capable.
Yeah, it can tow more, it can carry more. It's more space on the inside,
It's better off road too.
and they're very similar in size.
Yeah, but people gravitate toward the Maverick because it looks like a truck.
Right, which is where the Slate will have the advantage.
The Maverick sells to regular guys. The Santa Cruz sells to guys who say, actually, the Santa Cruz is more capable than the Maverick if you measure interior.
To nerds like yours truly.
Yeah, I don't like the Santa Cruz, but yeah. The packaging in the Tello is more efficient, but the Slate looks like a truck. And it takes simplification and cost reduction to the extreme, which is why people are buying smaller trucks. We're not buying smaller trucks in America where you're sharing the road with 6,000 pound Rams. Like, space isn't a concern. Unless you're living in like the very center of the city center, maybe the Tello makes more sense, but for 90% of the country, the size doesn't really, that doesn't really matter to us. We've already built our roads or infrastructure for massive vehicles.
I will say though, driving a smaller car, even though my first realization of this was driving the van, because my minivan has a really good turning radius, and that's super nice to have in like parking lots. And then we got the Tesla, and I was like, holy cow, this thing I can park it anywhere. And then we got the Miata, and I was like, I could park under other cars. Like I can park anywhere I want to. And I could zip around and be in and out of parking spaces. It takes no effort to move that thing around. I don't have to like stop and spend all this mental energy now trying to hit stuff. Whereas if you're in your suburban assault vehicle,
You can still do it though.
yeah,
The Tello would make more sense in like Europe.
or gosh, what's that communist city in California? The one where there's poop everywhere.
San Francisco?
Yeah, San Francisco. So it would work well in San Francisco.
For my last job last year, I went to New York to install some radio systems, and the thing about the Slate is it's like, oh well, like, you know, small company handyman, like they may buy these as like fleet vehicles, stick plumbing equipment and stuff in there, like. So I actually did that. So not for plumbing, but installing radio systems in a city, right, in Manhattan and Brooklyn. We were driving all over the city, and you know what the technician drove was a Ford Maverick. And we didn't have to think about it once all day, going like Upper East Side, down to downtown, over to Brooklyn. Like, we didn't think about it one time whether or not we're going to have to like fill up or anything like that. The only thing that really keeps these EVs alive is legislation. Because really, when you get down to brass tacks, people just want a car that's going to work, that has an established brand, that they don't have to worry about filling up and spending 3 hours a day, you know, doing that if they're working these like blue collar type jobs. And the only thing that would make somebody, in my opinion, buy a Slate to do that same job that I did last year in Manhattan and Brooklyn versus buying a Maverick is because of the congestion tax that's in Manhattan now. You know, that would make sense to buy a Slate. But as soon as that goes away, like, who buys a Slate anymore? You know, just buy a Maverick. It's better and cheaper in every way.
This is going to be a weird comparison, but bear with me. It takes simplification and cost reduction to the extreme. And in my opinion, the Slate is to electric trucks what the Miata is to sports cars. It takes what is the absolute core, the essence of what this segment is trying to do, and then you throw out everything that doesn't actively push toward that goal. So for the Slate is, how affordable can we make an electric truck? And if it doesn't move us that direction, then get rid of it. Up to and including electric window regulators, if that's what it means, right?
I wonder how much it weighs. Do you have the? You
No,
have the weight?
I haven't. I looked for the weight. I didn't see weight anywhere.
I would bet it comes in under 4,000.
Oh yeah, for sure. Slate's taking the revenue strategy of consoles and free-to-play video games, where they break even or maybe even lose money on the front end, but then the accessories and everything else after the fact is where they'll make the money back. That's what I think. Which would make sense. For someone like me who's not planning on financing the accessories, I'd love to buy that either outright or finance it over just, you know, maybe 3 or 4 years, and then just buy accessories over time as I need them. And here's the thing, driving a car that doesn't have a camera or parking sensors or rear cross path detection or blind spot monitoring, or didn't even have air conditioning when I got it, it doesn't have any modern conveniences. I imagine as people drive this without anything, they quickly just forget that they even need a lot of those things.
Or want it.
Yeah, because that's what happens.
It's kind of nice, honestly.
Yeah, it is. It's a little refreshing to not be distracted by a million screens. And
That's what keeps me away from so many modern cars, is because, well, the
They
price.
beep at you for everything.
They beep at you
They're
constantly.
trying to talk to you all the time. It's so annoying.
You end up tuning it out, and it's not helpful at all. Then you just have a beeping car that's not actually helping you be safe.
I will say the Slate value proposition rests on that $7,500 federal credit, because $7,500 on a $100,000 truck is
Something.
something. On a $27,000 truck, that's more than a
Everything.
quarter of the price. That is a huge chunk.
And it's only for the first certain amount of them sold, too. So let's
It's
say
a-
they are successful.
If the credit sticks around, yeah, that's over a quarter of the price off. Without the credit, it's more expensive than a base Maverick. Base Maverick is bigger, already seats 5 people,
Has 4 doors.
has 4 doors. Mm-hmm. It can seat 5 people and has a bed.
Has electric windows.
And has electric windows.
Backup camera.
Standard. Mm-hmm. This does have a backup camera.
By legislation, yeah. Needs to.
I do wonder what an ICE version of the Slate would have cost.
That was my thought, is like, what would you put in there as an engine? As an ICE
It
engine?
wouldn't need to be a lot.
Because if that's an ICE vehicle, that's a 3,000 pound vehicle at most.
And I bet you would take $5,000 off the price.
Does it have a Fratsonic exhaust? That's what's really going to put me over the edge. Buy one. I think Slate's got a better chance because the way it's packaged, they could probably make an ice version, whereas the Tello, no shot. So, like, the EV market, everyone knows, is cooling and demand is waning significantly, and the political environment is changing and becoming less favorable towards EVs. So having a vehicle that is an EV but theoretically could be repackaged as an ICE vehicle may be what can save a vehicle or a brand, e.g. the Charger as well.
Good point. That's actually an excellent point. That kind of leans in a little bit to my hot take. Unless do you have a new segment, Logan?
I have one more, and that does lead into my new segment,
Okay.
which is
Barracuda. Okay, that's really cool. That's a really cool rendering.
it's rendering by
Igor
Igor
Alexeyev.
Alexeyev.
Okay.
So,
That is really, really cool.
as far as
Oh
wish
my
casting
gosh.
goes,
I would want to buy that.
yeah, it's cool. So, Dodge might be hinting at a new vehicle, a return of a classic, you could say. Now, Plymouth obviously doesn't exist anymore. Plymouth Barracuda, aka the Cuda, would be sold under a Dodge name. So last year, Stellantis filed a trademark for Cuda, right? Not that crazy. Sometimes brands just want to hold on to those names.
That's been a headline that they've renewed the Barracuda name every 2
Several
years for like the last 20.
So that in itself isn't really much of a story. They did make it a story last year, but I didn't, because again, it's not that out of the ordinary. Dodge mentioned recently, and they said it before, they have other performance vehicles that are going to be coming out, but those are really early in production, right, in their development cycle. If you go to the DodgePortal.com website, you'll see this vehicle underneath a wrap, and it's got these very muscular lines. Looks a little bit like a Dodge Challenger. Now, if you know anything about your Mopar history, the Challenger and the Cuda are
Same car.
basically the same car. Again, that coupled with this, they're obviously hinting at something. But if you look in the background, behind the car,
There's a Barracuda on the wall.
there is a Barracuda on the wall,
It's really
which
cool.
is just enough. Those coupled together is just enough to get someone like me thinking
Half-mast.
maybe,
exactly
yeah.
in seconds. How quickly would you buy a new Barracuda to sit next to your old Barracuda?
If they sold it in yellow,
if they
0 seconds.
if they sold it in yellow and it had a Hemi,
0 seconds.
you would go like, sorry, hon, you're not finishing your master's degree.
Yeah.
You can drive this.
I'd be one of the people that Logan's talking about that finances the
Burritos.
car. Yeah. Like, sorry, we're
He's
financing
gonna
burritos, baby.
not only that, he's gonna have to be financing burritos after that too.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is clearly a Barracuda in the background. So the fact they trademarked the name, the fact they have another car coming, they've got it under wraps here, and
and
it's got,
in the same shot.
it's enough. To get me.
It's got your heart pumping.
It's got something pumping.
Could you
Something's
imagine?
pumping. Yeah,
Could
blood's
you
pumping
imagine?
somewhere.
Just pause for a second and look at your driveway in your mind with that bright lemon twist color next to your matching lemon twist Cuda.
The best part is I have a 2-car garage, so Kira's car would have to be on the street.
And
Let me bring
which
you
one
back
would
to
drive?
reality, though. They are bringing back the Cuda, but it is going to be a crossover, i.e., the Ford Mustang Mach-E.
Shut up.
I would never buy another Chrysler
Shut
vehicle.
It's gonna be an
Your
electric.
whore mouth.
It's gonna be an electric crossover.
Jeez.
Can you imagine?
That's a hot take.
The next GM crossover is supposed to be a Corvette crossover.
As long as they keep making the Corvette, then I'm like, yeah. They make the Mach-E, and as long as they're still making the Mustang, it doesn't bother me
Call
if
it
the
whatever,
Mach-E
yeah.
exists. If they want to do that with the Camaro, they're wanting to make like a Camaro SUV, but they stopped making the Camaro. So it's like you're telling us this is the Camaro now,
Yeah.
and that people would have a hard time with.
Yeah, it's like they're just rolling down the window of the Camaro EV, just flipping you off. Just like,
Yeah. I can't imagine if that had a Hemi, like a 500 plus horsepower Hemi, lemon twist yellow, and it was like under 60 grand.
That'd be crazy.
That's
Yeah, and then I could have
exactly
two chicks at the same time as well. And I would be the Pope.
Okay. All right. We got to move on to hot takes.
Yep. Hot takes. Here's your hot take, Jordan.
Okay. Autonomous vehicles were not a good idea. I said they were never a good idea. I don't think they were a good
I had
idea.
to shorten it.
Yeah, okay.
But I had to shorten it for the title.
But I don't think they were a good idea to begin with. And I'll tell you why. So there is a huge list of complex variables when driving. We know that. Any number of things can be in the road or be dropped out of a vehicle or run into the road or anything. And we assumed, I think we and the car companies making these assumed that list was finite. It's becoming clear that it's closer to infinite of all of the different variables that you can combine together in situations to make it. We assume that eventually we'll hit a threshold where like these autonomous vehicles can just drive anywhere and they'll mostly be able to handle anything barring some very rare circumstance, right? That just seems to not be the case. Because over the last couple of years, the progression is basically halted. They haven't gotten any like substantially better. They may have. You might talk to somebody who works at Waymo and go like, "Oh, we've had these 18 different software updates that have all improved these little incremental." They have not had any substantial change in the functionality of autonomous vehicles since the 2018 Tesla that's in my driveway, and that's basically just lane departure assist, and it can navigate on highways and take interchanges and stuff for you. But you still have to have your hands on the steering wheel. So it's not like it's...
Is that a regulatory hurdle?
What are you talking
Probably.
about? People use Waymos in San Francisco all the time.
Yes, on very specifically mapped streets.
They use them here in Phoenix and Tempe.
Yeah, but on a handful of streets in a very, very small area. That is...
I think you're mischaracterizing that a little bit. It's pretty substantial the way you can use a Waymo in these cities. You can use it like an Uber. The problem is that it falls victim to the public, which is people taking traffic cones and putting them on the hood, which makes the Waymo just lose its mind.
Well, now that I know that, I'm going to do that.
I feel like that will change with time because it's new and people will mess with it because it's new. Like people unplugged EVs all the time because they thought that was cool and so they had to put locks on them. But eventually people stopped doing that because it's not new anymore.
Yeah.
They had little autonomous robots at NAU that would carry your like meals to you. And when those were new, people would like, try to steal them and stuff and they
Knock
scream
them
if you
over.
try to pick them up. So they had to put little alarms on them, like little rape whistles basically that they were getting taken. But eventually people stopped messing with them because it's not.
People suck so much you have to put rape whistles on robots.
Yeah. So I agree people like mess with the Waymos and stuff, but I don't see that being a long-term problem.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
people
also
used to
saying,
plank.
like, they work. Yeah, they work in San Francisco. It'll work everywhere.
I mean, honestly, if they worked in the streets of San Francisco with the people of San Francisco, that's actually a fairly good.
They're covered in construction. There's all sorts of stuff going on in the streets of San Francisco. Also, it's like a relatively low trust, like antisocial city, especially nowadays. So people are going to be destructive and put, traffic cones on things. And people do run up to the Waymos and like tag them with spray paint in San Francisco, sitting at stoplights. So if they're able to function in that city, then yeah, I think that they have a really good chance of functioning in other cities like Nashville or Phoenix or San Diego.
Yeah, you might get some amount of mobilization. I'm saying the idea of just no one drives anymore. We have autonomous vehicles, and there's no steering wheels left. That's never going to happen. It went from like, oh, maybe that's a possible future, to now we know that's never going to happen.
I disagree.
Yeah, I disagree,
think
dude. This is a hot
we
take.
were-
This is successfully a hot take.
This
'cause
is
I
a hot
disagree.
take. I agree with you. We were a lot more optimistic about the timeline 10 years ago, but we were also optimistic about flying cars like 50 years ago. Here's an example. Now, this is not super related, but a little bit related, and this has to do with AI. I think AI will make a big difference here once it... Let me just make this point. When I was learning Spanish, this was just, 15 years ago, 14 years ago, when I was learning Spanish and preparing to leave on my mission, I was trying to kind of brush up on and learn Spanish, and I was reading online, and there were these extensive studies that said, yeah, like Google Translate existed, but it was like you can translate individual words and short phrases, but it will never be possible. And this was the consensus. It will never be possible to have an automated system understand the many nuances of language, because you can say things in a certain way with a certain inflection that completely changes the meaning. And there's no possible way that a machine could ever emulate that. And at the time, it was impossible to imagine that. But I'd say now, we're pretty close to that. There's devices now, you wear them in your ear, they listen and actively translate with upwards of 97% accuracy. So it's like, I give it another couple years time, a decade or two, you're not really going to need, I imagine, actual translation services if you just have access to the internet. You'll just actively translate anything. I'm thinking the same thing. Like, it was impossible to imagine all the number of scenarios you can come across where a car would know what to do in that scenario. But with the advent of artificial intelligence, I think we were optimistic about the timeline, but I still think it'll happen at some point.
I have a jumping off point for that. There's this theory about when humans should attempt interstellar travel. And it's that if let's say we attempt now, right? And we send, we have hypersleep, and we send people off into space, and they're in hypersleep, and they're going to be traveling for 2,000 years. But in those 2,000 years, we've advanced to such a point that we could get another ship launched 1,000 years later to arrive at the destination faster than the first ship that was launched, because technology had advanced fast enough that thing surpassed the original ship. I'm having a similar problem with Japanese. I've been on and off studying Japanese for 2.5, 3 years now. Right. For 2.5, 3 years now. But the thing is, things like a translate services that are in the Pixel Buds and things like that. It's almost to a point where it's do I even bother trying to really get fluent in Japanese when there will probably be a technology that will translate for me in real time faster than I can become fluent at this point.
Yeah, at your point, I think you're far enough along, but I would still try to natively be able to.
Yeah, but somebody's starting today.
Someone starting today, that's a good question. Do I even bother?
Mm-hmm. So one of the other things that I thought was a problem with the autonomous vehicles is that they add so much extra expense. And everything already costs way too much. And that means that your market is so much smaller. And I know that things get cheaper, but technology stuff gets cheaper. But in this market, it might not. All these cars, like you were saying in your news segment, is that everything's just getting more expensive because there's so many more features. If you have 100 different features in a car, you can optimize those and you can make them much cheaper than the 100 same features were. But you're not going to make it cheaper than having 7 features.
The one reason I really believe in autonomous cars for things like Uber and, maybe semi-public transit and stuff like that, what is far and away the most expensive portion of any business?
Has it not been recording? So we've been on that this whole time? Did you never hit record? Mason's realizing he didn't record our audio.
Well, good college try. Good drive run, guys. Let's start it back from the beginning.
Yeah, just 3 hours in.
Welcome everyone to the Bose. We end on a high note. Actually, we didn't because this picture doesn't work. So never mind. Nothing works.
I'm not disastrous.
Thanks everyone.